Hello, this is Sean DeMint with PSM Web Solutions at psmwebsolutions.com, and today we are going to be talking about your control panel and just going through a little bit about getting started with your website now that we've handed it over to you. Once we've handed it over to you, you have full control to change whatever you want, wherever you want on your website. And that's the most powerful part about this website project, is the fact that we've given you this template that now you can actually go in and control. So let's talk a couple things on your control panel on the left. Now, some of the things you see over on my panel you're probably not going to see on yours, but I'm going to talk about the ones that you are going to be able to see. The first one is going to be your pages. This is pretty much your site map. This is what everything is and how everything's going to work when it comes down to how everything's laid out. So you can see here that we have our home page, we have our youth sports page, and you can see these are all across the top here on the menu. One of them is the Contact Us. Now, if you notice, there's no contact page here at the top menu, and that's because it's been excluded from the menu. So if you create a new page, or you want to hide any of the pages for any reason, you can always come over to your gear, and this is going to give you a lot of different options. This is where you're going to be able to set your SEO, you can name the page, put your keywords in, that kind of thing, and you also can hide it in the navigation. And in this case, I've already got it hidden, so I would be turning it back on, but you can hide it on specific devices or on all devices. So if you only want that page to show up, we'll go up here to our preschools. So say, for example, we want to hide the preschools in our navigation. We can hide on all. We can hide on the desktop, hide on the tablet, or hide on the mobile. So you can specifically say which ones you want to hide it on and which ones you don't. And let's go into, for example, our youth sports page. So we can go down here and we can see all the pages that we have under that. Now let's say that we didn't like the order that maybe these pages are in. All you have to do to change the order is simply grab and drop the page. And will automatically, as you see over here, now Green Screen Sports is at the top and Photo Day Process is below it, just like it shows over here. So it's instantaneous changes as you're going around. Now, if you're coming from our old system, you probably would have known that you had to publish every change you made. With this new system, you don't have to do that. So I just wanted to mention that right off the bat here, that you don't have to publish your changes until you're ready to publish your changes. And if you don't like what you just changed, you can always come up here and undo your last edit. And you can keep undoing your last edit until you get back to the final point. It almost works like Adobe Photoshop in a way with the Control-Z option, where you can always back out your changes to get back to where you were at before maybe you screwed up something. So it's very easy to use. It's not hard to screw up because you can always go backwards. And until you're ready to republish your website, you don't republish it until you hit publish. Once you've republished your website, then it's up and online right then and there. There's no waiting time for it to happen. So that is your pages over here. If you want to add a new page, you can just come up here and add a new page. And it's going to give you all sorts of different types of already pre-made layouts. If you want to, if you're making an About Us page, or if you want to just link to another page, you can use the page URL. And the way that works is when you click on page URL, it's just going to ask you what the URL is that you want to use. And that's how we do the Buy Photos button, because the Buy Photos button is going to go to your shopping cart, which is not actually on this website. So it's going to take you over to that cart. So if you have other links that you want to link to, you would just do page URL, and now it's going to create another button here. And you can also, again, hide that from your menu if you want, and then put that link in somewhere else in your pages. But if you just want to do a blank page, you could just select blank page, you put the name of the page in, and then you hit add page, and it's going to show up in your pages. And then you can drag that page wherever you want to drag it. If it's going to be in the menu at the top, whatever order this is in is what the order is going to be up here. So if you wanted Travel Ball to be before high school, all you'd have to do, is, because it does have pages underneath it, all you need to do is drag the main one up. So we just drag the main one up, and now you see Travel Ball has moved over. And let's say, I didn't mean to do that. All I have to do is say undo, and we'll go back to our pages, and you'll notice that it is going to be, we didn't undo all of our changes, but there was one change we didn't undo. We can just drag it back if we want. So you can always do that. You can also create pop-ups if you'd like as well. And pretty much everything in here is pretty self-explanatory when it comes to your pages and things. So what we're going to do here in this demo is talk about the next thing is the widgets. You're going to have widgets and you're going to have sections. Those are going to be the two main things that you're probably going to do when adding content to your website. So in the widgets category, we have all these different widgets that you can choose from. You have buttons, you have images, dividers, social icons, text boxes, all that kind of stuff. So let's say that on this page here, we're on our home page. Let's say at the bottom of our home page, we wanted to add something, okay? So this entire website is set up in rows, and you'll see that when you scroll over a row, the word row will pop up, and this is where you see the properties of that row. If you want to move a row up or down, all you have to do is click up or down on the row. And sometimes rows have columns if you're using something that's already been pre-designed, or if you put columns in. So for example, on this one, let's say we wanted to move this group over to this side. We wanted the preschool to be on this side, not this side. So all we have to do is right click on this column, and it's going to bring up the column properties. And you can see right here we have move column to the left. So we can move that column over to the left. Now let's say we wanted that column to be above dance schools. All we have to do, or this row, all we have to do is go to our row, and just like we did with our column, move the row up. And now we have it there. So we want to keep the same, the same thing going on here. We want everything over on one side, and we've got that done. Now, you can also see that we can have color changes. So for example, on the home page, you may have a color for your column. So you just click anywhere on the column, and you're going to see that there's an image in here, and there's a color. So let's say we want to change the background color, because this is a PNG image. That means the background behind it is actually going to be visible. We just change that color to whatever color we want. If we have our hex code, we can put in a hex code, or we can just pick a color. So if we wanted that color to be red, there it is there, and you can just change it to whatever color you want. And then let's say, for example, this was not preschool that we were putting in this column, but in fact something different. Just click on the image, upload a new image, or if it's an image that's already on the website, it's going to be in the catalog of images. But we're going to go ahead and upload an image. So we just go ahead and click on upload, and then we're just going to find the one that we're going to put in there. So we're going to put in another PNG image, and let's say that this is actually going to be a travel ball image. So we've got our travel ball image. We'll go ahead and select that, and it's going to go ahead and bring that in. And it has put it in that spot. Now there's a couple of things you need to know about your images. You have a lot of different selections underneath it that have different properties. The first one is cover, and what that means is it's going to fill the area as much as possible with the original size of the image. So if we hit cover, that's what it's actually set on right now. If we hit full image, that's going to actually take it down to the original size, but it's not going to resize it as the screen sizes. So if we look at what happened here, let's go to a tablet view and I'll show you the difference. So these are all fills. These all filled to the actual size. But you can see what happened with the one that we didn't have fill. We just said full image. It's not filling that square now because the dynamics of the page changed due to the fact that we're on a different type of product. We're on a tablet now, not a computer. So you have to keep that in mind. And you can always check and see what things are going to look like by just looking at your previews at the top. So what we're going to do is go back to our home page, go down to that image, and we're going to go ahead and change that to be a cover. And if for some reason things are getting cut off, you always can hit edit as well. And this brings up a whole new set of tools that you can edit your image with. So if you want to crop it, You just click crop, and now you can crop the image to be what size you want it to be. So let's say we want to go ahead and crop this in, maybe get a little bit more of that image in there, and hit apply and hit save. Now you see it fills it up a whole lot more. Okay, so go ahead and undo that change. We'll see if that now we've undid that change, so now the image is back to normal. So you can see it's really hard to screw things up because you can always go back and change things again. So we're just going to go ahead and keep going backwards until we're back to where we were. You scroll down, you see it's still there. Let's go ahead and unclick a couple times. Yeah, we're getting close. Now remember our last change was we had moved this one up above this one. So if we do one more undo, I believe that's going to get us back to where we were before. There we go. Now everything's back to where it was before. So you can always go backwards. You can even go forwards too. So say you went too far back, you can go forwards. So that is how you edit the existing content. For text, it's the same way as the images. You can just click on the text, change what it says. You can change the size of the text. You can change the color of the text. You can make, say for example, you wanted to make this a hyperlink. You can change all sorts of different things in here. Everything you do pretty much does whatever you want it to do. Now let's say we want to add a section. We talked about sections compared to widgets. Say for example, actually let's go ahead and do widgets first. We didn't finish our widgets. So let's say we want to add at the bottom of this a photo gallery of some kind. Now there's a photo gallery in the widgets, and if we bring this photo gallery in and drag it over an area, it's going to tell us where we can drop it. But you can tell it's not letting us drop it underneath. It's only letting us drop it in this row, okay? So we're going to go ahead and not drop this widget. Let's hit escape here. And it looks like we're going to have to undo a change. There we go. So what we want to do is we need to add a row. So to add a row, always remember that whenever you're adding a row or anything to, or pasting a row or anything like that, it's always going to be put above where you're clicking. So if we come to row and we say add a row, you see it adds the row here. So now if we want that row to be underneath preschool, we're just going to go ahead and hit row and hit move row down. Now our row is down here. You can only drop widgets either into already existing rows, columns, or empty rows that have an empty column. So if we come in here and we have a widget and we want to bring in a photo gallery, now we can drop it into that row that we just created, and now we have an image gallery here. To change the image gallery images, all you do is click on the image, and just like we did before, it's going to give us an option to edit that image. Now if you notice when we scrolled over this, it actually said words. That's just part of the options that you have with your gallery. So if we want to change this image here, we can just go ahead and click on that image, and I'm just going to use something that's already been uploaded just to save time. But again, you can always upload an image. So let's say we'll go ahead and use this image here, and we'll go ahead and change this image on this as well. Just click on the image, and we'll go ahead and grab another one of these posters. Grab the image on this one. And we'll grab this one. Let's get one more vertical one just so we have 4 across. We'll find one more. There we go. We'll grab that one right there. Okay, so if we drag this up out of the way a little bit, you'll see that these are all squares. Now, for example, if you didn't want your images to be square, all you would have to do is come into your design, and you have all of these different frame layouts. So you can actually choose different ways for these to actually appear. They can be in columns, all sorts of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and do columns here. And we can also say how many columns we want. Let's say we only want 3. So now you can see it actually dropped that one down. And we can always click on that or go back to our content, and let's go ahead and remove that third image. There we go. So now we just got those 3. So now we can come into the design of that gallery, and we can go to the items, and we can go to our images. And we can say how tall we want those images to be. And we can also say how much space we want between those images. So we can bring those down to be pretty much what they are originally. And you can even round the corners if you want. Just like that. And if you want to display the full image, you can also display the full image. Now you can also add a hover effect. So if you want to maybe say grayscale, so when you scroll over it they turn gray. Now of course you're not seeing that because there's a text above this, and to see that text we're going to come back into our images, and below that you'll see there's a title. You can put a description, and you can also hide these by just clicking on the eyeball. So we're going to go ahead and hide these so I can show you what you can do with the scroll effects. So go back into our design, go to our items, go to our images, and you see our hover over effect is grayscale. So now when we hover over them, they're grayscale. And if we can make it zoom out. So you can really have some fun with actually working with this. Reverse grayscale means they're already gray, and then when you scroll over them, they turn into color. This is kind of cool. You have blur, which means when you scroll over them, they get blurry. You also have blur and grayscale, which obviously is what it means. It turns grayscale and blurs out. You also have opacity, shine. Shine, it makes that little shine that goes over it, which is pretty cool animation. Anything that you can do to make your site flashy is always cool. So this is actually a really cool effect as you scroll over images. And then you can also do image animation. You can have bounce. So what that means is when someone comes down the page, they're actually going to bounce. Of course, you're not going to see that here in the preview, but it showed you a little preview of that. You can have it flash, so they can flash like that, kind of like taking a picture. You can have them pulse when they come in. You can have it rubber band. There's all sorts of cool things that you can do with this. You can have it shake. All sorts of stuff. But as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can do when it comes to this. Now spacing, this is going to be used for anything that you put in. So you can always adjust the spacing, and that's pretty much how much space it's taking up in the box that it's in. So you can add, say we wanted to move it down the page a little bit. Let's say we wanted to add a little bit of space underneath it as well. You can do all that kind of stuff. So if you ever add something that you want to delete, if you want to delete an entire row, you would just come to row and click on delete. If you want to delete the box that you put in there, just click on the X. Now, let's go ahead and remove our row and talk about the last part, which is pretty much the only other thing that you really need to know when adding content, which is going to be, I'll go ahead and delete this row here. There we go. Is when you see the plus sign. When you scroll over the plus sign, you hit add section. And this is really the coolest part about this entire platform, is there are all of these sections that are already pre-built for you that you can then add and then edit to be the way you want. So let's say that we wanted to maybe add a contact page at the end of this. So we come over here and we say contact us. And you have all of these different types of contact pages that you can add. And all you have to do is just pick the one you like and you can search them and see how they're going to look before you even apply them. So you can scroll through these, see how they're going to be. So say you have a newsletter and you say you want to keep in touch. So all we're going to do is select that one. You're going to say save. And now that is at the bottom of the page. On any of the contact forms, click on the submit button, and this is where you're going to be able to change where it goes. You put your email address in here, the name of the form, so when it comes to you, you see what the subject's going to be, so you know what the email was coming from and maybe about. And then you can also change the actions, what the thank you message is that the customer sees, the error message if they don't do something right, and you can even redirect this page as well. You can also track it if you have a code for tracking, and if you want to integrate it to Google Sheets, MailChimp, Constant Contact, or webhooks, you can do that as well on any of the contact forms. Now, editing this, we have an icon. If you see any icons that you want to edit, just click on the icon and then say choose icon, and there's an entire library of icons that you can choose from. They're also separated in different categories. So let's say, for example, this one was social and media. You have all sorts of different ones that you can choose here. So let's just say we're just going to use this one here. It automatically changes that, and then to change the design, again, the design tab is where you're going to go. And you can change the width, the height of that icon. Go ahead and move this over so we can see what we're doing. You can change the icon color to be any color that you want. We'll go ahead and make it yellow. And you can again make those things happen on the hover. And of course your spacing as well. So that is how you edit an icon. If you want to get rid of the icon, just hit the X. Now you don't need to worry about the icon anymore. Edit your text just like we did before, just by saying, we'll just say, sign up today. And that's all we have to do. Now if we want to edit this form, you can add fields. So any of the forms that are already made, you can add fields to those. So we'll just say add a field, and let's say we want to know what their name is. So we're going to say the field label is first name. It's a field type is text. You can add drop downs, radio buttons, check boxes, file attachments if you want somebody to upload an image for you. So let's actually say that. Let's say this is a file attachment, and we're going to say upload your league logo. Let's say this is a form to have them upload their logo for you. You want to make it required? And we'll go ahead and say we want to make this its own line, and say we want the field size to go ahead and be all the way across. And we'll go ahead and close this down. Now, when they go here, they'll click on upload the file, and it's going to give them a browser to actually upload the file, and it'll attach it to the email and send it to you. So there are so many different things that you can do, and continue to add sections to pages as you want. There's text boxes, there's text with images, there's all sorts of pre-made ones, there's your galleries. So if you're looking at different types of galleries, there's all sorts of different types of galleries that you can choose from. So let's say we're going to do maybe this gallery here. So you can see how this gallery looks. You can see how when you scroll over things. Go ahead and save this one. So now what we can do is, if you want to change the image, you just click on the image again. This is actually a video, as you can see. So you can add videos as well, or it can be an image. So it's pretty cool how much you can do. And I always say, those are your basics to know on how to change things, how to update images and update text, and add pages and things like that. So if you have any questions about how to use the editor, you can always give me a call at 904-348-0123. But like I said, it's very simple to use, and once you just get the hang of it, you will be off and running. So if you have any questions, again, my name is Sean DeMett with Photo Solutions and PSMWebSolutions.com.